The Siaya Governor James Orengo is in deep trouble after President William Ruto directed his guns on him. Welcome to Kenyans Media, where you get news updates as they break, and kindly if you are new here, consider subscribing. Now, the Siaya Governor James Orengo is confronting one of the most delicate moments of his long political career, that is balancing a high-profile national campaign to defend the independence of the Orange Democratic Movement against growing political isolation and impeachment murmurs within his own county. The veteran politician's outspoken criticism of President William Ruto has elevated his national profile, but locally the political ground beneath him appears increasingly unstable. The emerging tension reflects a broader struggle inside ODM and within Siaya's shifting power landscape, and while Orengo is gaining visibility as the defender of opposition politics, his critics at home question whether his counter administration matches the standards he demands nationally. The result is a complex political balancing act that could shape both his personal future and ODM's internal trajectory. At the national level, Orengo has positioned himself as a leading voice in what insiders describe as the Orengo Sifuna Babu axis, aligned with the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna and Embakasi East MP Babu Wino. This faction has consistently opposed any perceived drift by ODM towards cooperation with the ruling establishment. Orengo has repeatedly warned that external influence threatens to dilute ODM's independence, accusing the presidency of attempting to reshape the party's internal direction, and his messaging has resonated strongly among segments of the party base that remain wary of broad-based political arrangements. Rallies held under the Linda Mwananchi banner have drawn energetic crowds, reinforcing the governor's image among supporters as a defender of the party's founding ideals. Recent opinion indicators, including polling cited by political observers, suggest that a significant portion of ODM supporters still favor a fully independent party strategy heading into the 2027 election cycle. However, the political narrative shifts sharply inside Siaya County. While Orengo's national messaging has gained traction, critics at the county level argue that his administration has struggled to deliver transformative development. Observers note that although the governor has initiated several community projects, many of these efforts have remained low profile and have not translated into widespread public confidence. Some local leaders claim that administration has failed to effectively communicate its achievements and therefore allowing political opponents to shape the dominant narrative. This gap between national rhetoric and local perception has become a key vulnerability, and in Kenya county politics, where service delivery is closely scrutinized, even strong national credentials cannot fully shield a governor from grassroots dissatisfaction. Compounding Orengo's challenges in the visible expansion of pro-government influence in his political backyard, several senior figures from the region have either aligned with or shown openness towards the administration's broad-based approach. Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi and Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo have emerged as key mobilizers of the president's outreach in the region. Their growing presence signals a deliberate effort to chip away ODM's traditional dominance. And at the political level, Siaya Senator Buru Oginga has leaned towards the pro-engagement camp, adding further complexity to ODM's internal dynamics in the county. Meanwhile, Alego Usenga MP Samuel Atandi has intensified pressure on the governor, publicly urging members of the county assembly to reassess the county's leadership direction, remarks widely interpreted as fueling impeachment speculation. Orengo's political isolation has been deepened by shifting alliances among regional figures. Former allies such as Nicholas Ngumbi have titled towards the ruling camp, while others, including David Ochieng, appear to be maintaining a cautious middle position. Perhaps most consequential is the posture of the Deputy Governor William Oduol, who is seen as sympathetic to the broad-based political approach and is widely viewed as a potential contender in a future county leadership contest. Taken together, these shifts suggest that Orengo faces not just isolated criticism, but a broader real realignment of local political forces allegedly that are fueled by President William Ruto. Political temperature in Siaya has risen further following the reports of MCS from the county that have been invited to high-level engagements linked to the national executive. Previous meetings between the county representatives and the presidency have already signaled a coordinated outreach strategy. Analysts view such engagement as part of the broader effort to build influence at the county assembly level, where impeachment motions originate, and in the Kenya's developed governance system, MCAs, who hold a decisive power over the governor's political survival. Insiders say the upcoming interactions could serve as the key test of whether impeachment talk remains rhetorical pressure or evolves into a formal political process as William Ruto meets them. The current tension also carries echoes of the earlier political standoff involving the deputy governor Dual, whose attempted removal exposed deep fissures within the county leadership. Observers know that the same political networks that mobilized during that episode could in theory be reactivated. While no formal impeachment motion against Orengo has been tabled, the pattern of political signaling public criticism, MCA engagement and shifting alliances has heightened speculation about possible next steps. Political veterans caution, however, that impeachment efforts often depend on complex local calculations including public mood, elite consensus, and legal thresholds. Orengo's predicament mirrors a wider identity struggle within ODM as party navigates the post-Raila Odinga era. The movement that once thrived on unified opposition politics is now grappling with competing visions about how best to remain nationally relevant. One faction favors strategic engagement with the government to secure development gains, while another represents strongly by Orengo and his allies, arguing that ODM risks losing its political soul through such cooperation. This ideological divide has played out through rival rallies, disciplinary threats, and increasingly sharp public rhetoric. The coming months are likely to be decisive. If Orengo can stabilize his local political base while maintaining his national reformist credentials, he could emerge strengthened as a key voice within ODM's future direction. However, if county-level discontent hardens into organized political action, the governor could face a sustained challenge that overshadows his national messaging. Much will depend on whether his administration can demonstrate visible service delivery improvements and rebuild grassroots confidence in Siaya. James Orengo's current political balancing act illustrates a fundamental reality of Kenyan politics, that is, national prominence does not guarantee local security, and his confrontation with President William Ruto perceived influence over ODM has elevated his stature among opposition loyalists, but it has also exposed vulnerabilities within his county stronghold. If the governor withstands the mounting local pressure, he could help shape ODM's future identity as an independent political force. But if impeachment momentum gathers, the fallout could ripple far beyond Siaya, potentially weakening one of the party's most prominent defenders. For ODM, the episode is a stress test of internal cohesion in the post-Raila transition period, and for the national political landscape, it highlights how county-level dynamics can influence broader coalition politics. Ultimately, the tightrope facing Orengo is not merely personal, it reflects the wider context of the direction of opposition politics in Kenya, and whether traditional strongholds will remain politically predictable in the years leading to the 2027. That is all for today from Kenyans Media, where we bring you news updates as they break. Kindly, if you're new here, consider subscribing as a way of motivating us and also helping this platform to grow.